Hello and welcome to a presentation on proposed Bengaluru Commuter Rail Service, a presentation by Praja-RAAG. Before we move on to what commuter rail service is all about, let me just give you a brief introduction of Praja-RAAG. Praja-RAAG it stands for Praja Research Analysis and Advocacy Group. It's an offline group of Praja.in, which is an internet-based portal that that facilitates people to discuss and bring solutions for the problems and issues they face with the public agencies, from transportation to education, from health to sports. A lot gets discussed on Praja. From that, the research and analysis and advocacy group takes some of the issues from the portal to the network with various stakeholders in the government as well as in the public sector, and with a view to making the idea acceptable and mainstream. The commuter rail service is one such idea which has been taken up by the RAAG and has been taken in the form of now we hope that in coming months and years this commuter rail service will become a reality in Bangalore. Let's move on to see what this all is. This is not just a artist imagination or it's a science fiction. This is the reality that all the residents of Bangalore goes through. Wherever they go, they have no respite from the jams, from the gridlocks, from the bottlenecks, from the traffic pileups, accidents, and you name them. So, which is why some people have now started nicknaming Bengaluru as Jimbaluru also. We might be asking, how did we get here? If you really look at it, there are three factors which contributed to this. Two on the demand side, one on the supply side. On the demand side, increase in population and increase in the sudden increase in the private vehicles. If you look at the figures, the population has increased from 6.5 million in 2001 to 9.5 million in 2011. That means we have added 3 million, which is 30 lakh in 10 years. In the same period, in 2001, the number of private vehicles were 1.6 million. Now they have gone up to 4 million in 2011. It's almost equal to we are adding one private vehicle for every person we are adding in to the population of the city. So these both needs avenues for the commute. We cannot remain idle at homes. People have to go to jobs. People have to go to businesses. They need to go to do shopping. They need to go to hospital. Children need to go to educational institutions. All this they need commuter. They need different choices and different transport systems. Unfortunately, on the supply side, we have only limited to either Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation (BMTC) for years it has been remain as one of the backbone of the Bangalore public transport system. In addition to some autos and the cabs, now metro has been added, but still it cannot meet the demand. And also Bengaluru, by itself, is an old city, so there is less scope for any large increase in the size of the roads because the road surface has limitations. You can only widen so much. You can add so much length to it. You can only can add so many flyovers. So there will be on the supply side there is a shortage, but there is an increase in the demand side. So what it does is it brings in the jams and the gridlocks, which is a natural phenomenon. So one can say it's a deadly cocktail for disaster going to happen if you don't address the demand of the people from going from one place to the other one. So these constant gridlocks and jams actually is not only affects the people who are in the city. In the city, I mean, yes, we all go through on a day to day, day in and day out. So with this constant jams and which is leading to that it's hard to reach on time. I mean, this is what the artist is depicting there through a cartoon. The people, I mean, the people usually, I mean, it can't be that those who live in the city, they'll just remain in the city. They will not have any opportunity or any requirement to go out of the city. So this is where, and also people who live outside the city would also, I mean, will come to the city for various reasons. But they'll actually, now they are burdened with the pains and pangs of the city traffic. And now added to that, I mean, the people who are from the outer, and for example, people like who are coming from Ramnagaram, Chanpatna, Tumkur, or Hosur, or Malur, they not only have to face the traffic which is already on our highways, but then and again they have to take into consideration inside the city and also traffic from the inside the city to the suburb. I mean, they're actually basically burdening with both the pains of inside the city and the suburb pains. So that's why, I mean, people who are live in the towns, I mean, it's for them it's in a very expensive commute, and also it's a longer. So it's the major bottleneck for people for them to take up jobs in the city, or the vice versa. So I mean, that forces them to do is to settle for nearby jobs, even though they are less paying. I mean, given that even if you take a little high paying job in the city, but you have to, on the time, they have to sacrifice on the time and the money they need to spend for the longer commute. This is where Bangalore commuter rail service is makes a excellent choice. This is what has been proposed in the Bengaluru Commuter Rail service. That is, Bengaluru is to be connected with all the towns around it, starting from Mandya, Tumkur, Doddaballapur, Chikballapur, Bangarpet to Hosur, so that people can travel from these places to Bangalore city in the shortest possible time. Fortunately, all these places from the Bangalore are connected via the existing rail lines. Already long distance trains run on these services. So all that needs to be done is add a few more significant infrastructure to it, so that commuter rail can be this thing. Even though people do use the long distance trains currently for their daily commute, but it cannot be substituted for commuter rail, because commuter rail has its own requirement. It comes with its own scope, wherein it needs to have very less, I mean, be very frequent. It should have around the clock service. So the first time in the Bangalore, I mean, it is being considered, the railway lines are being considered for the running a mass transit system. Since railways will have exclusive right of it, so there is no scope for road induced gridlocks. So what it makes is, that means makes it the transit times almost same at all points of time, and also it makes it to run frequent. I mean, it's a 5 to 10 minute frequency, and also you can be reliable that yes, I mean, I'm sure of on time arrival and the on time departure, so that my travel times are predictable. I mean, I can plan my commute. So the people who are living in Mandya can travel to Bangalore, I'm sure, in about 1.5 hour, from Doddaballapur to Bangalore in 1 hour, from Tumkur to Bangalore in 1 hour. So what it does is it helps Bangalore in two ways. One is, now we can always plan that, okay, that we disperse the growth to the, instead of growing in the city itself, that we can push the growth to these towns. These towns already have some infrastructure. All that we needed is enhance its infrastructure by connecting, giving them a mass transit, so they can reach from their place to the Bangalore city in shortest possible time, without having to worry about this gridlocks, jams, and all that. And then by dispersing the growth, then what you're doing is also decongesting the city roads to some extent. I mean, you cannot decongest say 100%, but at least 40 to 50% decongestion should happen. And also it gives a ample opportunity and an ample choices for people to live in Mandya then either work in Bangalore city, especially now living for lower middle class and the poor people. It's very difficult to live in Bangalore. So now they will have a choice to live in the outer towns, and then can they still come to the jobs in the Bangalore outer suburbs or inside the city. So it's an excellent choice. I mean, we'll come to know that for on every account, every aspect of mass transit system, Bangalore service scores high. If you look at its commuter rail service features, in terms of reach, it can go up to 405 kilometer in length when it is implemented fully in 3 phases. Then it covers 70 to 100 kilometers in radius, and it connects Bangalore city suburbs in all directions. I mean, if you really look at my previous this thing, on the north it is connecting the Doddaballapur and the Chikballapur, on the east side Bangarpet and Hosur, on the south side Ramnagar and Mandya, on the west side it's Tumkur. Basically it's Bangalore is covering the whole of Bangalore in circle. In terms of reliability, I mean, people can shore of commuting times of 1 to 1.5 hour. I mean, which is far better than today of 3 to 4 hours. Then, since the railways will have an exclusive right of way, so there is no way for this road-induced gridlocks, jams. So that actually gives that, okay, now my commute is predictable now. So I'll have a 5 to 10 minute frequency. That means train every 5 to 10 minute frequency. Then, since there is no gridlocks, I'm sure of on-time arrival on the departure. Added to that, if the service is promising around the clock schedule, then people can really plan it for either the long hours from the early hours. So this is, I mean, today that's a issue with most of the daily commuters, that for the people if you have to have early start or the late finish, they have to have their own vehicle, otherwise depending on the public transport systems it's not an option. Recently RITES has submitted a draft report on implementation of commuter rail service for Bangalore to the Department of Urban Land Transport, working under the IDD Department of Government of Karnataka. This is the culmination of the campaign that Praja had started in 2010, starting with publicity with the Center for Sustainable Transport and Urban Planning in ISC Bangalore in August 2010. It has taken now, I mean, it has come this far that now RITES has officially submitted a official report to the department for the consideration and approval. This report is basically endorses what Praja and many other citizens group has been asking for. Even the urban planners have been saying all these years that commuter rail service is a must for Bangalore's needs, because on completion it will serve about 20 lakh commuters per day, which no other mass transit system can claim to achieve that. One of the important aspects that the RITES has recommended is that the commuter trains, if it is implemented, this train should cross the city centers. It should not terminate at the city edges. This is very important because in past few months and all, from various quarters, there has been suggestion that commuter rail, even if it is implemented, should terminate at the city edges, like train coming from Ramnagar or Mandya, terminating at Kengeri, from Doddaballapur terminating at Elanka, Tumkur terminating at Yeshwanthpur itself, or from the Hosur terminating at the Whitefield itself. If you really look at it, I mean, in the purpose for people coming to the city or from the city, it doesn't serve. I mean, this will not serve it. So therefore, the rights has rightly recommended that they should cross the centers. I mean, if it needed, I mean, they should terminate at the after the crossing the city. Of course, one may ask it. I mean, with the existing long distance trains running, I mean, we always seeing SWR saying that their tracks are full and all that. Is it possible to run CRS? Rights, according with all the data, with all the information they have gathered in this report, recommends that yes, it is possible, but there has to be some significant upgrades to the Indian Railways infrastructure, where they need to add double the line wherever there is a single line segments. The whole 4 and 5 kilometer network should get electrified, and everything should, I mean, the existing signaling system should be replaced with the modern signaling system, so that the CRS can start functioning. Of course, it will cost us about 8,000 crores, which should be spent in 3 phases over 7 years. According to rights, CRS can be operational formally in 2 years, with the completion of phase 1A, which takes about in 2 years. So what it does in all this will facilitate into the fastest travel option, covering from 70 to 100 kilometers in 1.5 hours. We all have been hearing about metro. I mean, one may ask it, why is that metro cannot serve this purpose which CRS is trying to do it? In the next slide we'll show, I mean, why it is not will not be able to serve it. Let's do a comparison of CRS with the other mass transit system, that is, some are in progress, some are going to be implemented. CRS at the completion will have 20 lakhs commuters per day ridership, and it will have a length, this network length of 405 kilometers, so which will come with a cost of 8,000 crores. So actually, if you look at that 8,000 crores, it comes to about 15 to 20 crore per kilometer. That is the cost of construction of it. In the metro, when it is completed in all phases, phase 2, phase 3, it will be about 10.5 lakh commuters per day. But it's all the phases included. It has only the network of length 115 kilometers, but it comes at a huge cost of 30,000 crores, because the metro is run inside the city. I mean, its technology and land acquisition and all this pose a high cost to it. It's a good system. The city needed it, but it comes at a very high price, which is the construction cost is about 200 to 400 crores per kilometer, which is about 10 times the CRS. 10 to 20 times of the CRS. And if you look at the monorail which has been planned, and some reports suggest that the feasibility report has been submitted to government and it has been accepted, it will have a capacity, when it is done, it is a capacity to carry about 1.5 lakhs, which is almost 10% of the 5 to 10% of the CRS ridership, length of about 60 kilometers. But it will cost same as the CRS, which is about 8,400 crores for monorail. But its construction cost is almost 10 times the cost, which is about 150 crores per kilometer. Again, one more mass transit system planned is HSRL. This is a high-speed rail line to BIAL airport in Devanhalli. So, which will have a length of 35 kilometers. I mean, they are looking at a 30,000 ridership per day, but it will cost 6,000 crores. On the construction cost side, I mean, it's almost 10 times of the CRS. So if you just look at the numbers in terms of ridership, in the length, total cost construction, CRS is the best choice. I mean, it's economical. Its return on investments is more than any other this thing. I mean, also the coverage. This thing is that this is so its benefits are tremendous, and even in comparison to any other mass transit system that is planned in Bangalore. If you just compare commuter rail service with the metro, this is very important, because in order to see what is metro is targeted for, what is CRS is targeted for. If you look at the reach of the metro, I mean shown in the inner circle, its its reach is just in the city, and just it touches the uh, its city limits. It's basically meant for mass transit system inside the city, so that they can reach from the suburb to the city center. It crosses the city center. So therefore, since it's very limited to city, it will have only a network of about 115 kilometers, but it comes at a cost of 38,000 crores. Whereas if you really look at the commuter rail system, it's trying to cover a larger area than, it's four times the coverage area of metro, which is about 405 kilometers. But the cost, according to the rights, is only about 8,000 crores, which is one fifth of the cost of the metro. Definitely, CRS makes sense, and it makes sense, and it should be done. Any public transport system will have certain aspects to be considered, and it has some we need to certain issues needs to be taken into consideration. But fortunately, commuter rail service for Bangalore will satisfy those needs and the requirements. This is the rights has said in its report, and also it gives a high score for each and every aspect of it, either in terms of frequency, reliability, cost to commuters, cost of operations, environmental decongestion city roads, growth dispersion, and the immense socio-economic benefits it will bring to the Bangalore city and its outskirts. So here, I mean, it's the right through his report has laid everything to the thing that commuter rail service in Bangalore makes as an excellent choice, and it should be done. Now that RITES has submitted its report to the government of Karnataka, now it's time now for government of Karnataka to act, to accept RITES report in its entirety, makes a proposal to railways, start the process for CRS implementation. That means they need to start with completing the formal project scope, abstract estimates, techno-economic survey reports. Meanwhile, propose and start process to form a. So this is very, very important, because otherwise, so that there is an entity which is taking care of this thing, so that it gets done in time, and then if anything to be done, it will be taken on a priority, and its attention is 100% attention is given to it. Like Metro has BMRCL, like bus service has BMTC, like KSRTC is taking care of services to suburban and the towns. So Bangalore Commuter Rail Service also needs a special purpose vehicle or its own entity to implement and manage. In the interim, Kannada government should get railways to start additional services and routes immediately. Recently, the SWR DRM has already said that once the state government and the railway board has approved it, I mean they can start additional services immediately. So which is a good news. So now it's time for us citizens like us to start demanding the CRS in Bangalore. I mean, you can do it in many ways. You can write to State Chief Minister, Transport Minister, Urban Development Minister, then also write to its respective department secretaries, because these are the people actually who makes or breaks the projects. Then you call your MLA, MP, put pressure on them that they should be doing it. They should be start writing to Chief Minister and the government to implement. Then it's very important that a tremendous publicity and awareness campaign has to be done. So this can be done with spreading the word at workplace, RWS, wherever you go, wherever there is an opportunity to publicize, let's publicize it. Then we have a social media. I mean, we can make use of it. you can send an emails to all your friends. You can post this on your Facebook or Twitter pages. Another opportunity, another avenue for you is to come join and help the Praja-RAAG campaign at praja.in, where you can discuss things. You can start networking with other people who are already involved in it. You can share. You can share your expertise, ask questions, so that people can answer it. So that everybody's knowledge on this also get updated. So, in a nutshell, Bengaluru needs commuter rail service, and time is now. Before I end this, let me share a few thoughts from our friend who actually is part of this Praja-RAAG, who has been campaigning for this commuter rail service. In a white paper here, he wrote this, where he says transportation is not a technical problem. It is not an infrastructure problem either. It's not even a financial problem. Then what is it? He says most often it is a political problem. He is rightly so. Now commuter rail is not a technical problem, it's not an infrastructure problem, it's not even a financial problem. But it is a political problem where government of Karnataka needs to wake up and say, yes, we are going to do it, we will do it. So this is a presentation is part of the Praja campaign for commuter rail service in Bangalore. Please do visit us www.praja.in. Thank you for listening to this presentation and have a wonderful day.